So unfortunately, that's one of those things where it's mostly about the bottle.
The bottle's
itself.
more of the hype than
Exactly.
Yeah.
The tequila inside, it is something that's overly sweet, using syrups, not in a great method. It's not a good representation of what tequila is. But that bottle is beautiful, and I also know that the owner employs like a whole small town in Mexico and provides transportation, schooling for the kids, childcare, because they're making these bottles. So who am I to say don't support that, So it's like drink what you like, but know where you're drinking.
Tell us about a moment where you wish you would have said something and you didn't. There's nothing better than this. Say what you mean, say what you mean, say what you mean, say what you mean, say what you mean. What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Aida Rodriguez, and welcome to another episode of Say What You Mean, where people stop by to share some of the stories in those moments where they wish they would have spoken up and didn't. They don't always have to be confrontational and mad. Some of them are sweet, some of them are sad, but they all happened here. So thank you for being here again. Per usual, I start with my own Say What You Mean moment. And this time, I am going to talk about my friend, not my friend, but I have a friend who always compares me to her or is always pointing out similarities in us, but with her flaws. Like she's always like, I'm bottom heavy like you. Or, like I have very thin hair like yours. But it's never like when she's complimenting herself, I'm not in on the compliment. So I want to say, don't group me in with you when you are hating on yourself. I work really hard to build myself up, and I don't need you to take me down with you because you feeling bad about yourself. And that's what my not evolved self would be. My more evolved self would be like, I appreciate you acknowledging something that you feel is similar, but I think we have other similarities that lean more positive. And I would encourage you to like yourself more and be kinder to yourself. And that way you can be kinder to me too, because girl. All right. Now, moving on. This week's guest is a content creator, an influencer, a mixologist, and a world traveler who came to internet fame and success by dissing one of those people that many people have a problem with, including a lot of Puerto Ricans. But delving into tequila and Bad Bunny, and I'm like, stay out of our stuff. You already rich. Stay out of our stuff. Kendall Jenner, we talking to you. Give it up for Lucas Assis.
I love that. Thank you so much.
I know, it's terrible. I'm trying to be a better person, but nah. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you. How about you?
I'm doing well. Awesome. I went to your TikTok page.
Oh, cool.
You look so joyful on your page.
So
okay, so tell me about the moment where you decided this is not okay. I need to talk about this.
Yeah, that was an interesting time. It was during the pandemic when she first came out with 818. And I was already started posting some videos and, getting a little bit of a following on that side. And I was also talking about tequila. I've loved tequila for years, and it was at this right time where people were also trying to get into tequila and drinking other stuff because they couldn't go to bars during the pandemic, And I remember I saw the press release for 818, and I mean, one, they have a track record of culture appropriating and all that. So I already had my reservations about that. And then getting to see the press pictures, like, they had bad grammar on the on the boxes, on the bottles. And I know there was a few people that started calling them out. And I remember we were going out, me and my wife, and I was like, let me record this video really quick. And I just posted this video just literally saying what I thought was wrong with it. The fact that, like, how do you get, like a Spanish grammar wrong? Does that mean that there's no Mexicans or even let alone a Spanish speaking person in your team to tell you that, like, hey, this is not what it should be. And, the whole thing of going to Mexico and turning the sepia filter on because that's what Mexico looks like. And saying that she made the best tequila ever, which is such a huge, honestly, like an attack of these families that have been making tequila for, 18 generations sometimes.
Wow.
So I did a video like that and I called her out for that and went out. When I came back and got my phone, the video had gone viral, and I had, Yahoo News, InStyle magazine, other publications asking for interviews. The video got shown on Good Morning America.
Wow.
So it was the first like feeling of like, whoa, like this is, people are talking about this, you know? And that's one of the videos that really started getting people into my page to learn more about tequila and what was good and what was bad.
I love that. And it's interesting because when you say something about celebrities now, it splits people, right? They're the people who are like, yes, yes, yes. And then the people who will call you a hater.
Sure.
I've had it before because, you know, I've made my own jokes about the Kardashians. Not the first time Kendall Jenner has been in hot water over something that's been culturally insensitive. It was the Pepsi commercial and,
right.
you know, solving racism back in the day.
Right.
But when people take this personally, when you say you have the best tequila, you know, based on what? Like, because when we talk about the Kardashians, there's always the argument about what do they do well? What are they experts in other than celebrity, you know? What was it specifically about the tequila? You tasted it. What was wrong with it?
So, you know, when I made the video, I hadn't tasted, but I knew where it came from.
Okay.
I knew it was a distillery that didn't have the reputation of making the best.
Okay.
And then it comes down to the production. So,
Okay.
you know, tequila is something a lot of people just think it's a drink. And other than that, it's something that's very cultural for this part of Mexico, especially the state of Jalisco.
See.
You know, this is something that's also, it's very like embedded in the culture of that state. And production methods is one of those things. So when you're cutting corners using agave is a plant that can take up to like the Blue Weber, which is the only agave you can use to make tequila, can take up to like 9 years now to mature.
Oh, wow.
So when you're using ones that are 3 years old, you know what I mean, 4 years old, that doesn't have sugars, you're just trying to get agave in there so you can call it tequila. But because it's a bad product, then you come in without the additives, which I know is a buzzword nowadays in the tequila community, the additive-free thing. But when you're using all those chemicals, they're sometimes 4,000 times sweeter than sugar to offset the shortcuts that you're taking. You're changing people's perspective now, especially when you have the influence of somebody like the Jenners or the Kardashians. You're changing people's perspective of what a good tequila is. Because now people are expecting the vanilla, the cake batter taste, the super artificial taste in a tequila, when that's not at all a part of it. That's just what you're making because you can make it cheaply and use these sweeteners to make it palatable.
So they have these flavors
Absolutely.
that it's like the lip glosses that they do, maybe a coffee when you put the syrups. Did you taste it? Did you actually
The tequila?
come around to taste it?
Yeah, I did.
And
And it's, you know, all of that. It's cotton candy. It's cake batter. It's, you know, super vanilla. It's a sweet bomb. There's no agave taste in the tequila.
So it doesn't taste good. You were right. Your suspicions were
yeah,
right.
exactly. And it's, there's a lot of bad stuff there. But to be honest, that's a really bad one.
So if you could give props to one celebrity who's done tequila right, who would it be?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I remember even on that video or like during that time when I was talking about this, I said I would love to see a celebrity using their influence to make something good.
Right.
You know, it's not just that it's anti-celebrity. It's how are you making this? I think right now that I can think of, there's two that have bigger brands that are doing it the right way. It's Código 1530, which now is owned by a mega corporation, but it was part of George Strait's plan to start this tequila. And it's actually a pretty decent tequila, made the right way. They have their own distillery. And there's another country person too that has Insólito, which is also a good tequila made at a good distillery that's doing good things. And you have like Sammy Hagar and Guy Fieri. They have Santo, which I like some of the expressions that I've tried. I think.
Do any Latinos?
It's a great question too. Unfortunately, not that I've tried yet.
Okay.
You know, and I know there's like talks about other people getting into the tequila industry, but which is so sad. You know, like there are some people in the Latino community that I would love to see promote good tequila, that it's actually doing something that's completely opposite of that. Unfortunately. Yeah.
So now we're going to ask you the question of questions for the show. If you could say one thing to someone that you wish you would have said before, what would it be?
When you first asked me that question, I was thinking of like, you know, going back in my memory. And there's one thing that kind of stood up, that it's one of those things that I like just randomly comes in my head. And I'm like, I should have said something. I was in Chicago with a bunch of friends. We took a friend trip over there. We were there for like 4 days and we were on the subway. And there was this girl sitting next to us and this guy. They clearly didn't know each other when we got there. The guy came up to her and was just kept insisting on them, like asking for her phone number. And she just kept saying no, no, no over again. And to the point, not the whole cart was listening, but people in the vicinity were all kind of uncomfortable with that. And I was just in my head for that whole ride, like, should I tell him to leave her alone? And she was younger than him. It was this really awkward situation. And then one stop, she just got up and left. And then I told them something like, what the F are you doing, dude? Like, why didn't you leave her alone? And I was also thinking, like, should I even step in? Because maybe she can handle herself, you know what I mean? Is it my place to say something now or not? But every once in a while, it comes up in my head, and I'm like, I should have told that guy something
in front of her.
You know what I mean?
She would know that somebody stuck up for her.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice. That is such a nice thing. But even still, you still said something anyway. So I think that's still pretty honorable because, sometimes it just feels overwhelming. You don't know.
Right. How somebody's going to react. And just like thinking of all the different scenarios in my head, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's going to happen if I said something, but I feel like I should have.
If you would have said something in front of her, what would you have said?
I think it's just like leave her the F alone. You know what I mean?
You can curse here.
I can curse here?
Yeah.
I was going to ask. Yeah. Okay. I was like, dude, the are you doing? Like, leave her the alone. Like, you're creepy. You know what I mean? And then see what he would have said. And I'm not a fighter at all.
I know. But you were with your friends, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you weren't alone.
We were like 4 people against one guy, so that's true.
You would have learned to fight that day. Those things are so awkward, and now you don't know whether you should say something or not. Because one time you can say something and a person will be like, "Thank you so much," and then if it's somebody who calls themselves like super feminist and they're like, "Hey, I don't need you to. I can take care of myself."
Right.
So now people are second guessing. If you wonder sometimes why some people don't say anything, it's because of that. They're like, I don't know if I could or if I should.
If it's my place or not, yeah.
All right, we have this little segment on the show, and it's called Shoulda Kept That. And I will read you a story. Some of these come in through social media, some of email, some people tell me in real life now. And then you tell me if you think they should have kept it.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
My friend had a little listening party for her new song. She played her new song for a few of us in the industry. She asked everyone what they thought, and everyone told her they liked it. When she got to me, I told her that I think it needed work. She started crying, and everyone else got mad at me. Should I have kept that?
I think, I think it's a good thing to tell somebody that, I think especially in this industry, sometimes you can surround yourself with like yes people that are never going to challenge you and just say, yes, of course, that's awesome. And I think it's important to have those people to be like, hey, I think this needs some work here or there.
Yeah.
At least I would like somebody to tell me.
I mean, when you send it out into the world, the internet is going to tell you.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I would rather you tell me. It was a very awkward situation. I was present, so it was.
Gotcha.
Was just very awkward. It didn't come out. She actually went back and she's working on it, but she was about to send that out into the world with reckless abandon, and she was about to get dealt with on the internet. It was not great, and I was not the one that told her.
Okay.
So I felt bad because I felt like I should have.
No, I see.
All right, so the next segment is called Say What You Chess, and this is a lightning round. It's you tell me what you tell me quickly. Smash or pass, escape rooms.
Okay. Smash, even though I've never been one.
Okay. Would you rather graphic novels or movies?
Movies.
Okay. How old were you when you started bartending?
21.
Wow. Fight or flight, 3 Walking Dead zombies.
Fight.
You gonna fight them?
Yeah.
We know how to kill them, right?
I've watched enough.
We know that you got to get them in the head,
exactly.
Right? What would you say to your favorite teacher if you had an opportunity?
Thank you, I guess. Yeah. She was a key figure, I think, in my life. I'm from Brazil, came here when I was 11, lived here from 11 to 12, and that's when I had this teacher who was just this key figure in our life. So not just, she became a family friend. She went to my wedding in Mexico and stuff. So she was important. So I just thank you.
Did you marry a Mexican woman?
I did.
Where did you get married?
So her family is from Michoacan, from Uruapan, Michoacan. So we got married over there.
And how was that?
It was awesome. It was a great wedding. We got to bring all of her friends. one of the reasons why we wanted to have it in Mexico is also because my family from Brazil could come because it's so hard to get visas to come to the U.S., right?
Yeah.
So most likely if we got here, like my mom wouldn't be able to come or my
Right.
cousins and uncles. So we were able to have it in a small town in Mexico where most of my family probably wouldn't have gone if it wasn't for this. So it was a great time. It was like a week-long party with our friends and family.
How was the Mexicans and the Brazilians? How did that?
It was really cool. It was funny because my Portuguese and Spanish very similar,
Sure.
and I speak both, so I was a little bit of the translator. But I felt like a lot of my friends who speak English and Spanish thought that I'll just speak Spanish to Lucas's family, and they will understand. And it's not like that. So they were like, my cousin was just like, just speak English. I understand better English than I do Spanish.
Yeah. What was what music was played the most at the reception?
I gotta say, it was mostly Mexican.
Yeah.
It's just more, I don't know. Like,
Corridos? Did y'all have some corridos?
not so much corridos, but more like, a lot of Pepe Aguilar. My wife loves Pepe Aguilar, and her dad loves Antonio Aguilar. She grew up going to the palenques and stuff with him. So there was a lot of that. And then some Bad Bunny for sure.
Of course.
And then we played some Brazilian music there too that we liked. It was a good mixture, but it was more Mexican reggaeton, I think.
What tequila was served at your wedding reception?
Now you're gonna get me in trouble with the tequila community. So this was before I was, I already liked tequila, but this was before I had the knowledge that I know now.
Okay.
And also before it's much easier now to find good tequila in Mexico. So we served Don Julio on our wedding, which is fine. Not my favorite now. I wouldn't drink it now. And we talk about it like if we ever do like a 10-year anniversary, we know what we're gonna serve, and it won't be that one.
So I know a lot of people who drink Don Julio.
Yeah.
Vanessa said you traveled 12 countries in 12 months.
That's right.
So where'd you go?
That's awesome. The only reason why I could do that is because Vanessa was my manager and was okay with me leaving so much. And Jess, of course. So it was during a time where I was going through some stuff personally with family, and I was like, I need to get out of here, and I want to just 12 places, 12 months. I made this thing in my head. So I went to Colombia one time, went to France, to England, went to, I think it was like New Orleans, New York. Where else did I go? A lot of it in Mexico. Went to Canada. It was kind of one of those things where I would just scroll my phone and see where I could go for the cheapest flight. So one day I was in Portland. That was my first time there. And I was in, at a coffee shop, and I was like, it's going to be like $300 round trip to go to Colombia with a 12-hour layover in Mexico City.
You would.
I was like, exactly. It was like, I'll just book this, and then tell my manager, like, hey, I got my shifts covered. I'm out for a week.
Oh, nice. Would you drink? Were you drinking all the way through all those trips?
I mean, I would going to bars and visiting that, because of my job and falling in love with bartending and the cocktail scene. I would always love to go to bars and to a cocktail bar, and also to like a local dive bar or something like that we liked. So it was really cool to get to go to a couple of cocktail bars in Colombia, for example, but also drink, their aguardiente there too, in the square with a bunch of friends, just, with plastic cups. So I always try to learn a little bit more about the local spirit, because I feel like most countries have their local, or at least their favorite spirit,
Yeah, and Puerto Rico is Pitorro, Palo Viejo. Pitorro is in Bad Bunny's new album, and he talks about it.
That's right.
Our grandfathers used to drink. And so you went to all of these places. So what is your favorite drink to make?
So it depends. I love making a caipirinha. Yeah,
okay, what is that?
I'm Brazilian, so that's our national drink.
Okay.
So we use cachaça. Cachaça is a Brazilian sugarcane spirit.
Okay.
A lot of people say it's rum, but it's actually older than rum.
Okay.
Rum got their name and started because of Brazil. So we're also proud to say no, it predates rum. It's cachaça.
Okay.
But it is made of the sugarcane, and it's something that doesn't make most rums. They make molasses and ferment that. Sugarcane is straight sugarcane juice that's fermented. And then sugar and lime. So you muddle the sugar and the lime, add a little bit of cachaça, stir that up, and that in the beach or like having a churrasco or like a Brazilian barbecue is probably my favorite thing. And I've been enjoying making caipirinhas for friends and stuff.
So you have collaborated on a tequila?
So yes, I have single barrels
Okay.
and single batches with a couple of mezcal brands and some tequila brands as well, which is really fun because I get to like the mezcal that I did. I got to go down to Cotija, which is this small town that borders pretty much, it's in Michoacan, very close to the border of Jalisco.
Okay.
And got to spend a couple of days there and like cook the agaves, harvest some agaves.
You did it.
I did it. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And like,
Was that the 9-year agave?
So actually, this one was it was a blend of 3 agaves. It was all grown in Michoacan in this area too, but some of the agaves we use take like 17 to 20 years to mature.
Oh, wow.
And they're giant agaves that yield very little mezcal. So it's something that's super local and like very special. So get to be part of that and then do a whole distillation run, that I did it with them in partnership was really, really fun. I got to work with different tequila brands where I'll go down to Mexico and try different single barrels, and say, hey, this is a special one. And then we do a release for that where it's just, 250 bottles coming out of that barrel and that's it.
So you're the TikTok tequila dude. Right?
Yes.
I mean, I go to TikTok for people for very specific reasons.
Yeah.
How's it been since all of this stuff has happened? Like, where do you want to go from here? What is the goal for you with this?
It was never something that was planned,
Right.
So there's a lot of times that I just like, have those moments of like, what the happening? I never thought this would be my life. I always wanted to stay in the spirits industry and the cocktail industry because I love this industry so much of making drinks and hanging out with people. But I never thought that this would be my full-time job where I get to go down to Mexico, multiple times a year, multiple times a month and work with brands directly. And yeah, it's awesome to that it grew to where it is now, and I get to work with my wife, who's also my manager, and works with our agency that takes care of all the stuff for us too. So it's really, really awesome. And like, I'm blessed to have this, happening now. And, which is, yeah. And
are you doing this full time?
Yeah, this is full time. So I've been doing it full time for 3 years now. And my wife has been doing it for 2 years.
Did you panic when they shut TikTok down for
honestly,
17 minutes?
I know, right? I didn't because, so it's one of those things, right? Like if you're talking about spirits or cocktails, you can't really advertise on TikTok. So my following is bigger on TikTok, but my engagement is a lot bigger on Instagram.
Okay.
So I went onto Instagram mostly. And to be honest, like most of my jobs and partnerships are through Instagram.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
For like, I'd say 90%, if not more. So when it shut down, I was like, well, I'm glad I, switched or that I started investing some time on Instagram. But it does suck that it went away. And then 15 minutes later, it came back.
Yeah,
so.
it came back. What is the most popular drink made with tequila?
It's got to be the margarita.
The margarita?
Yeah.
How do you make a margarita not generic?
So I always say that there's 2 cocktails that like you kind of got to test a bartender, and the margarita and the daiquiri are the 2 that I think is very important because they're very simple to make and very simple to mess up as well. So for me, a margarita is just tequila, lime, Control, or like a triple sec, and rocks. I don't like any sweeteners. I don't like using agave sweeteners on my cocktails.
You don't like the flavored margaritas?
They're fun. I think listen, if I'm in like a resort somewhere in Mexico and they're serving frozen margaritas, of course I'm drinking that. But if I'm like talking like the best margarita that I have or I can make is something like with a really well-made tequila, probably something more high proof. So like, something around 46 to 55 ABV. So the tequila doesn't get lost because you're adding you're adding lime juice and Control. Like it's gonna, get a fight with the tequila. So you want the tequila to be bold enough to show itself in a cocktail. So yeah, so for me, it's 2 ounces of tequila, 1 ounce of lime juice, 1 ounce of Control, rocks, shake it, and then pour it over rocks with the salt rim, garnish it with the lime wheel, and that's it.
What was the battle with the tequila versus mezcal battle? What is that?
So I could talk about that for like an hour because it's
Okay.
a little complex thing. But in its shortest form, tequila is a style of mezcal. So
Okay.
if
I
a
didn't know
spirit,
that.
so if a spirit is made in Mexico out of the agave plant,
Okay.
it's a mezcal. It's been called that for 500 years.
Okay.
There is a domination of origin of mezcal where some people got together and thought that only 9 states get to call it as a mezcal.
9 states in Mexico.
In Mexico. It has to be in Mexico. There's a huge issue with that because who are these people to get to tell people who have been making mezcal for generations that they can't call it?
Right.
So, it's believed that mezcal was created in what today is Jalisco and Colima. Both of those states can't call it mezcal. So how does that make sense?
No, they can't. They have to call it tequila?
They have, or the agave spirit.
Agave
or the
spirit.
salado de agave or an agave spirit.
Okay.
So Jalisco, of course, can call it tequila. And so basically the biggest difference too is tequila can only be made with one kind of agave, the Blue Weber agave.
Okay.
It can only be made with that, and it can only be made in the state of Jalisco and 4 other neighboring states. In those neighboring states, it's just a few municipalities that can make it, not the whole territory like in Jalisco. So you have Guanajuato, Tamaulipas, Michoacán, and Nayarit. It's Jalisco, Michoacán, Tamaulipas, Guanajuato, and my God, I'm missing one of those.
So it's 5.
Anyway, yeah, I'm completely blanking on the 5 states now. They can call it tequila. With mezcal, there's 50 different agaves that you can use.
Okay.
Multiple ways of distillation, fermentation. It's something that's like very complex and very regional. So a mezcal that's made in Oaxaca is completely different in production methods out of a mezcal that's made in Michoacán. So that's the biggest difference. Production methods, the agave, and then you can go into location and regionality and all that.
So this tequila thing is a very specific, it's very exclusive.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
Right.
What if in your opinion, what's the best tequila ever?
So that's the question that I get the most. And it all depends, right? Depends on how I'm feeling. I can tell you some brands that I love.
Yes,
that I
sure.
think are like family heirloom brands that have been doing it for generations. So, of course, I got to talk about Fortaleza.
Okay.
It's the holy grail of tequila now. It's really hard to find. And it's hard to find because it's made in a small distillery and they're working 24/7, 7 days a week now, pretty much. So it's one of the most, it comes from the Salza family, who sold the brand back in the 70s and now started making tequila again like their grandfather used to make in the 1800s in the same space, same distillery, same hacienda in the town of Tequila. An incredible brand that deserves the respect and the hype that it's getting. And then you have Cascawin, which is made about 20 minutes away by the Rosales family. And that's just an incredible brand, you know what I mean? And people, and it's cooked in brick ovens like most tequila is, but it has this taste that if you're a tequila fan, you can smell it and you know where it's made because it smells like their oven. And Chava, who is the master distiller there, is just, an amazing person. And you also have, like, for example, G4, that's made in the highlands of Jalisco, coming from the Camarena family that's been doing it for 4 generations. That's why G4, generation 4. Ocho is like a bartender favorite brand that, people really love, that's made by the other brother of the Camarena family. So there's all these Don Fulano, which is a tequila that I brought for you guys today. That comes from one of the most important agave farming families who learned how to make tequila and now make it in a beautiful way using French oak. Those are, I would say, like some of the heirloom brands that have done it.
What's the name of the one with the white bottle with the blue on it? That's
Clase Azul?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that's one of those things where it's mostly about the bottle.
The bottle's
itself.
more of the hype than
Exactly.
Yeah.
The tequila inside, it is something that's overly sweet, using syrups, not in a great method. It's not a good representation of what tequila is. But that bottle is beautiful, and I also know that the owner employs like a whole small town in Mexico and provides transportation, schooling for the kids, childcare, because they're making these bottles. So who am I to say don't support that, So it's like drink what you like, but know where you're drinking is what I always say.
Well, the hood is supporting those children because I know everybody I know that is that's their claim to fame is to buy that bottle.
Right.
So let us know what's coming up next and what's happening next for you, and tell people how to find you and follow you.
Awesome. So my name is Lucas Assis. My handle on all the social medias is the Lucas Assis. I'll be, bartending across the U.S. for the next couple of months, which is super exciting. I'm going to focus more on this craft, which is really my favorite part, to be behind the bar, talking to guests and getting to know everybody and sharing a drink and making a cocktail for you. So, I'm coming to Napa, Chicago, New York, New Orleans in the next couple of months, which would be really awesome. Follow me on all the social media accounts. And thank you.
He's got more dates than I do this year. That sounds great, though. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
There's no episode like this, so I think it'll be cool. So that
Awesome.
It's a departure from people dissing, but also an information on what a real margarita should taste like. And keep your little mango margaritas over there. They taste disgusting. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you showing up. Make sure that if you're watching on YouTube that you also click the subscribe button, and we want to know what you have to hear. So drop it in the comments section. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next time on Say What You Mean. We want to invite you to follow us on social media at SWYM Pod on all social media platforms. If you are listening, please hit the subscribe button if you're on Spotify or Apple. If you are watching, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to give us your rating and your review, and we will see you next time on Say What You Mean.